Hi, everyone. Today, I wanted to touch on the subject of imposter syndrome. So, I don't know how many people are familiar with that term, but just to explain really quickly, it's a feeling that you usually have when you feel like what you're doing, what you've been hired for a job, is beyond your skill set, that you're really pretending to be this person that you're not. And it is something that is very rampant. I know I have felt it in the past. It is something that comes up every once in a while, and that it is affected usually by how other people are behaving towards me, or just that like the work or the job or the even the project that I'm taking on is beyond what I feel is beyond my skill set. And it's really an awful feeling. If you've had this feeling, you just feel like you're pretending all the time, that you aren't really, you're maybe a square peg in a round hole, that there are other people that are better at the thing that you're supposed to be doing or responsible for, that those people are better at it than you. It can come about if you meet someone that has a lot of experience, that feels or seems very confident in what they're doing, and that they cannot do any wrong. So if you have felt this way, first of all, it's a normal feeling. It does happen. And I also want to call out the fact that a lot of people in leadership positions, people who we look up to, that we look to for guidance, that we feel like they should know all the things and have all the answers, those people also feel the same way that we feel. And having been a leader in an organization before several times, I've felt it. And the thing is that there are certain things that you can do to turn that around. So first of all is understanding that this is something that a lot of people feel. You're not alone in feeling that. And it is a common thing to feel when you're stepping into new responsibilities, because the job may be bigger than you, the project may be bigger than you, but that doesn't mean you can't stand up to that challenge. So that's the first thing that I want to get off the table, is you're not alone. The other one is I really want to share some of the things that have helped me get over imposter syndrome. A couple of things that have helped primarily is really surrounding myself with people who I have worked with, keeping in contact with them, because they are, and using them as like a sounding board, using them to talk about my feelings and be open about it. I think it's something that we're not transparent enough about. And so we need the support of a community in order to feel like we are not pretending at this job, that we can actually do the thing that we are supposed to be responsible for. So surround yourself with people that you have worked with before, who feel like you are competent, that you are responsible, that you are an achiever. And seeing yourself in the mirror that they present to you is a huge boost to your confidence level. Those people believe in you. So you should take some of that and believe in yourself. Like, that's part of the thing, is to get confidence from these individuals. It can also help if you're early on in your career, or you're doing a job, stepping into a job that is, a step above what you've been doing before, is to find a mentor. There are plenty of people out there who have walked in your shoes before, and who can give you the tools and the guidance that you need to do that job to the best of your abilities. You don't have to do it the way they did it, but they can help walk you through processes. They can be a sounding board for you and say, "Oh, I've done this before. This is how I handle that issue." They can also boost your confidence as well, because you're taking skill sets from someone who's been there before and applying it to your job. I would recommend that for anyone that jumps into a leadership role that you haven't done before, is finding somebody who can be a sounding board for you in that way. And there are also other tools that you can use as you're feeling this imposter syndrome, that you can start to implement. And a lot of these tools that I'm going to talk about right now are things that I learned in therapy. I've been through therapy. I want to be open about that. And for a number of reasons, but one of the ones is that being in environments where there was kind of a negative environment, or that I felt like the job was too much for me, I needed help grounding myself. And that was therapy helped me do that. And so my therapist gave me a couple of tools that I use on a regular basis when I start to feel that imposter syndrome come out. Is I use these, and that helps me ground, it helps ground myself, because I don't want to continue to feel that way. It's a pretty awful feeling to always feel like you don't belong, or that you can't live up to the challenge of whatever it is you've stepped into. So the first thing that my therapist said was acknowledge your feelings. If you're feeling imposter syndrome, the first thing that you should do is acknowledge that this is happening. And it is a natural response. I mean, if you have ever met someone who has never had imposter syndrome, then they've either never really been challenged, or they have just ignored how they're feeling. Most people have felt this. So acknowledge your feelings. The next one is, and you should be doing this throughout your career, is really document your achievements. Writing down the things that you have accomplished, the successes that you have had, those serve as reminders for you in these hard times to look back and say, I did this. And during this time, it was a challenge to do these things. I stepped up to the challenge, and I succeeded. And it doesn't have to be in business. It can be in any facet of your life. I mean, as parents, most of us are not prepared to be parents. We don't really understand what it's like. Yet, being a parent, you're always learning. You're always an imposter. Like, I'm this person's parent. I'm responsible for their lives. But yet you do it. You have to step up, and you can look back, when they're more grown, and say, hey, I did that. I succeeded. So this can apply to your work. It can apply to just any part of your life where you feel that you are pretending. You also want to seek feedback. So that's where your mentors, your peers, your social structure, going to them and asking them, is your self-perception of yourself real? Let them give you a mirror as to who you are and what you've accomplished, and let them be that confidence boost for you that you are not an imposter. You also want to embrace lifelong learning. Like, this is something that, if you are feeling stuck in your role and you don't know, you don't have the skills, or you don't have the knowledge, go learn about it. Do everything you can to learn about those things. Talk to other people who have done the thing that you're responsible for. Reframe that challenge so that you now have steps, or you now have more education on how you can embrace that challenge and do the things that you did in the past and succeed. And you also want to practice self-compassion. You want to treat yourself with the same kindness that your friends, or your colleagues, or your leaders and your social circle will treat you with. That's one thing that we often overlook. We're so hard on ourselves. Yet if we had a friend who was acting in the way that we were acting and looking for that guidance, we would be kind to them. We would want to give them that confidence so that they are able to succeed in their lives. Confidence is a thing that we all need in order to operate at our best. So have that for yourself, and look at yourself from, a third person perspective, and say, hey, it's okay. We're going to get through this together. So those are my tips on how to get over imposter syndrome. Again, it's going to come up over and over again, especially as you move to new roles, take on new responsibilities. But having these tools in your toolbox so that you can pull them out and use them whenever that's necessary, great to have. So if you do have any questions, please let me know. I'm not an expert, but I've been through this enough that I know how to handle it for myself, and I know how to help others get through it. So I'm always willing to be a sounding board. And if you have ever dealt with imposter syndrome and have other tools that you think are great to implement, please comment in the comment section, and let's start a conversation. Thank you.